Hi, welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. Well, I had a question about the visa situation in the Philippines, and my advice on this, no matter how clever or educated or knowledgeable the uh, private individual seems on this, I think that it's best to to check with the authorities. You know, it's very easy to give information on the basis of your past experience, but when you're in an ever-changing society like the Philippines is at the moment, especially in terms of immigration, then it's better to have the up-to-date knowledge. Now, I went to the UK last year, and I expected certain things to happen when I got to the airport. Well, you are expected to pay a tax for leaving. So you've got the normal airport tax. Now, before that, you have to apply for an exit visa. Now, if you don't apply for an exit visa, you can do all of these things at the airport, apparently. I didn't do that because I do know from experience that when you leave everything to the last minute, which I'm notorious for doing, then you're in for some surprises. And even though, if you say go out of status here in the Philippines, it's not a huge problem, but when you get to bring yourself up to status, there are penalties. So they charge you something like 1,000 pesos for each visa that you failed to renew. I renew every 2 months. There are various things that you can do to avoid going every 2 months, because for me it's a bit of a drag, and it's quite costly actually to go every 2 months. Have about 1,000 pesos in gas, and then no matter what I try to do, there's always 1,000 pesos just disappears. You know, you have a meal, you walk around the mall, and so it ends up being 5 or 6,000 pesos, which is a big hit. Forget about dollars and forget about euros and pounds and all of those other currencies. You're here in the Philippines, and eventually, sooner or later, you think in pesos. Now, what I observed was that things have changed a lot at the immigration, and there may be things that I don't know. So, even though I give you my information that I know, that I believe is correct, and what I found to be correct, it may be incomplete. I'll give you a good example. Once you've been here for, I think, something like 3 months, once you've renewed and you seem to be staying, I'll be as general as that. What they do is they give you a card, which is like some kind of senior's card, and you can present that senior's card at a restaurant, and they will, like Jollibee or McDonald's, and they'll give you something like a 20% discount. And it does come in handy, because at some McDonald's they give you a discount on the entire meal. Well, the entire meal can come to 500 or 600 pesos if you've got people with you. So it's useful. Right, now that you pay for that, a one-time yearly hit. Now, the price varies on that from year to year, and guess what? It's a government. It only ever goes up. So, you buy that and you buy your visa, and then there'll be little things which you assume from a Western logic will make sense, and then you'll find that they don't. When I left and I went to the airport, I had heard that I needed an exit tax, so an exit visa. So I went and paid for the exit visa. It wasn't expensive, I think 400 or 500 pesos. So I get there, I think that I'm all set up for leaving. I go over, pay my exit tax, which was, I think, about 150 or something. Even that, like I'm telling you, I think that that's what it was. and you might get there with 150 in your pocket and find that it's gone up to 350. You just don't know. You can't assume anything. So I get there, I pay my my exit tax from my airport tax, and then just as I'm about to walk away, the man says, "Oh, how long have you been here?" And I said, "I've been here for," I think at that time I'd been here for 2.5 years. "Ah, well, in that case, sir, you need to go over and pay an extra over 1 year tax. So you've been here for more than 1 year, you have to pay another tax." So I go over to there, and it proves to be quite a big hit. I think it was over 1,000 pesos. But once again, don't depend on this, because things change. Now, they can change in quite small things, like this card that I've just been telling you about. It's a once a year payment, and they're computerized enough to know that you're out of date, so you need to have it. So I go over to Jollibee yesterday, when we went yesterday, and we did my tax renewal, my visa renewal. I went over there and present my card at Jollibee, and the young man, who's some kind of manager, says, "Oh, this is not applicable now. It's not valid." I said, "I've been coming here now for 3 years, and I present this card, and I present this card at every restaurant that I go to. McDonald's, across there at the Green, whatever that pizza place is at the ICM Mall, and they accept that, and I've never had any problem." He said, "No, this is no good now." I said, "Here's my Western logic. This card today was seen by immigration. I had to present this card with my passport, and they gave me my visa renewal. Nothing was said to me about anything changing." No, the young man says, "We've had strict instructions on this about," but he couldn't tell me what the strict instructions were. So, just not to get embroiled in a complaint about Jollibee, because eventually he just gave up, because I didn't give up, and processed it as it always had been. So it got through. But just imagine if that had been a really important situation, and you were being refused for some reason, then that would be difficult. So you need to have your information, I think, firsthand. So do be sure to do that. Now, having said all of that, you're supposed to, after 3 years, you're supposed to leave the country. I'd always heard you're supposed to leave the country and come back in again. You can do it for a day. Some people go out to Hong Kong, sleep on the airport bench, and come straight back. I've heard that too. And then, if you have your wife with you, you get what's called a balikbayan visa, which is for one. After my trip to the UK, I'd made sure that, because that's on the basis of my Western logic again, that's on the basis of being married. So when I get to immigration on my way back into the Philippines, I point out that I'm married. "Oh, really? Are you married to a Filipina?" "Yes, I am. And I have my marriage certificate with me." So I have an official document by the government of the Philippines which says that I am married, and she can see that I'm married to a Filipina. Just by looking at the name, she can see that. So she said, "Can I see it?" So Western logic again, I say, "Okay, well, looks like we're good for a balikbayan visa for 1 year, which is free." I show her the document. She looks at it and everything, and she says, "And where is your wife?" I said, "Well, my wife is in the Philippines. She didn't come with me on this trip." "Ah, that's a pity. If she was with you, I could have given you a visa." I said, "Well, ma'am, you can see that I'm married. by my documents. I have the correct documents. Why can you not give me the visa? And she said, no, you have to have your wife with you. Now, you can stand there as a logical, Western logical thinking person and argue all day long. And you know, if you're American, everybody around you will know what the argument is about, because you speak louder than us Brits mainly, and it will get you nowhere. I listened at the immigration yesterday. I listened to an American with his legitimate American Western logic, and he couldn't understand why he had to have a card right at that moment paid for in order to be able to continue with his visa or whatever it was that he needed. And they couldn't give it to him on the spot. And they said, we will send it to you in about 2 months' time. He said, I won't be here in 2 months. Well, what will your address be? Well, I won't have an address because I won't be here. You can see how the logic takes you. Well, how can I have an address if I'm not here? Well, don't you have a friend? And then it goes on, and he gets quite frustrated, and none of it goes anywhere. So, back to the original thing of the visa. Make sure that you have approached the correct department, right? So if you have a visa, if you have an immigration question, my advice is get to the correct place to ask the question. Now, my information is that you do not need to have a visa to get into the country, because when you arrive, they will give you, has been my experience, they will give you a 30-day visa free. Now, you're intending to stay, so you go through and you get that. Now, I've always renewed my visa every 2 months, so I get the 30-day visa, and then I go back in, and I'm afraid that I'm a real klutz when it comes to checking dates and figures and documents, and I assume that people have done their job. Not always very wise, I admit. So I go in and I apply for a renewal of visa, and then after 2 months, I mention it to Beth. I say, I better go back and get my visa. It's up now, isn't it? So she looks at it and she says, actually, you're a month out of status. I said, well, how can that be? I went in after 30 days and I renewed my visa. Well, she said, did you check the dates? Well, no, I didn't. Now, it's my fault. There's no point in my saying, but they always give me 2 months, for heaven's sake, because I didn't check the visa. Now, the rule is that you get your 30-day free when you enter the country, and then the first renewal is 1 month. So that's 30 days only. Then when you go in to renew again, they give you 2 months. So they ask the question, so how long do you want it for? And you thinking Western logic again, as long as I can get. And they say, no, 2 months is the maximum. You can be forgiven for saying, well, why did you ask me? If you can only give me 2 months, why did you ask me? See, so the way that you think can be your source of frustration in some of these situations. So here's the only advice that I think is the safe one, and that is to call up and find out. And then you'll be going with absolutely the most recent information. And even that's not guaranteed. Okay. So this is a foreigner in the Philippines. Thanks for looking in. Bye.